Yeah, maybe we can wait like 1 or 2 minutes and then get started.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we can get started now. So my name is Alyssa, and I will be coordinating the expert sessions for Noumena from now on. And if you don't know what Noumena does, we are a fintech startup for freelancers, and feel free, I will put the link to download the app and for the website in the chat. But today we have Laura, our expert freelancer, and she will be talking about how to create a quarterly marketing plan.
All right, awesome. I'm going to go ahead and, oops, I think you need to approve me to share my screen. There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome everybody. I am excited to chat about this because it is a topic that a lot of freelancers know they need to do more of it, but they don't know how to get started with that. And a lot of times we make our goals a little bit too big by focusing on them at an annual level, and then it doesn't really get broken down into meaningful things that we can do every single week. So I'm going to talk to you today about how to make that how to lean into some of the marketing methods that are already working for you, and then what that looks like as far as 6-week sprints, weekly activities, and day-to-day things. So if we have not met before, my name is Laura Briggs. I have been freelancing. This is my 10th year of working as a freelancer. And along the way, so many people I knew started asking me how I did it. I used to be a middle school teacher, that I started creating podcasts, books, courses, coaching services that help other people kind of make sense of this and grow their business their way. And 2 of the books here on the screen are already out and are really relevant to a freelance audience. So one is specific to freelance writers, and then 6-Figure Freelancer is really accessible to anyone who does any type of online freelance service and is looking to learn more into how successful 6-figure freelancers are running their business today. So let's talk about what we're going to cover. When I say like this year, we're primarily going to be looking at 2021 because most people are in tax mode or have already done their taxes. So you probably have your 2021 numbers. There's an element of this presentation that's going to be interactive. I'm going to give you access to a Google Doc that you can copy and fill in for yourself as we go. And I strongly recommend you use your 2021 numbers, because even though we're coming up on the end of Q1 2022, it's still important to look back over, you know, what habits maybe did I bring over from 2021 into this current year, and which ones do I need to adapt? So where have you been so far? Where do you have left to go? How far are you from your financial goals? And then we're going to talk about how to tap into what I call your 10% marketing methods. A lot of times freelancers try to do all the things with marketing and they wait until they have no clients. So they'll get real busy for a while, and then they'll all of a sudden panic because those big projects have wrapped up, or the client you thought was going to renew doesn't renew, and now you have no business. And so I am a big fan of you market all the time, even when you are fully booked. I know that sounds like it might not make sense. Why would I do that when I can't take new clients? You always want to have people in the pipeline, potential projects that could convert. You can always potentially get rid of a client on retainer that you don't love working with if someone else converts. So even though your marketing will look different when you're fully booked, you should always still be doing it and putting it out there for your prospective clients. So I'm going to give you this link, and let me see if I still have it saved in my copy and paste. Maybe not. So I might have to grab that one. But if you go to bit.ly, and it says Q4 marketing plan, but it's just a general link that will take you to a Google Doc that you can hit file and copy, and you're going to fill that out as we go today. Whoops. So I'll leave that up there for a second. And you can come back and fill in some of the rest of it later. So it's a document that really walks you through where have you been financially already, and then encourages you to break down some of the marketing tactics and strategies that we're going to talk about in today's call to make those real, rather than just saying, I need to market more. I know I need more clients. That's going to help as we go through this presentation for you to break things down specifically into what is it you're going to do and when are you going to do it and why you think those particular activities will be beneficial for your marketing. So I will leave that. If you need that link, it is in the chat. So feel free to look there if you want to grab that. So once you have that open and you've made a copy, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes here to fill in your.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's.
Looks like somebody may need to be muted. So as you have that document open and you've made a copy for yourself, go ahead and put your revenue numbers in from 2021 if you have them. And it's okay to estimate, right? If you don't have a perfect number, that is okay. The purpose of doing that is for us to average out into what this looks like monthly. So that's at the very top of this worksheet. Put those numbers in there, or if you haven't done your taxes yet, you can kind of estimate, okay, I think I made 60K last year. I think I made 120K, and then divide that by 12 just to get an idea of what your average monthly income looks like. One of the reasons that I like average monthly income is because I used to live and die by my numbers on a month by month basis, but it didn't take into account a lot of other things that I found were important for me running my business. So if I had a slow month, but it was because I took 2 weeks of vacation, I was focusing more on beating myself up over the fact that I didn't bring in as much revenue that month, but I was on vacation, right? Or maybe some months you just don't work as many hours, or you have clients that, it's a lower paying client that you're phasing out. And so rather than beating yourself up on what did January look like, February, March, because we kind of have ebb and flow as freelancers, just average it out to monthly. Like that kind of helps make it seem a little bit more realistic, and can also be an eye opener, because for those people who have significant swings in their income, they make 2,000 one month, they make 8,000 the next month, averaging it out gives you a nice number of, okay, when I factor all of those different things in over the course of the year, what am I bringing in already on a monthly basis when I take all of that into account? So just so you have those numbers front and center as we go through this. Now, as you're thinking about what you have already been doing with marketing, this is the best place to start to figure out what else you should be doing with marketing. One thing I see over and over again with freelancers is this distraction with shiny objects of, well, I heard so-and-so is getting amazing clients on Twitter, so I'm going to drop everything I'm doing with marketing and I'm going to go all in on Twitter this month. And it's not proven for you at all. It may not be where your clients are hanging out, but you heard a story about someone being successful, or maybe you've decided to give Upwork a try, but you probably already have some data about what things do work for you. Where do most of your clients come from? That is really where you should put in the effort to start with evaluating your marketing plan, because it is far easier to turn up the heat on something that already works, or to get more efficient and savvy with something that has converted for you in the past, or take the lessons from something that's converted for you in the past and bring it over into a similar marketing strategy. So be honest with yourself. What is really converting well? And the reason that I bring this up is because it breaks my heart when I hear freelancers say things like, I'm sending 50 pitches a month, I'm spending 100 hours a month on marketing, and I have no clients. So something is broken there, right? The work samples, the pitch could be broken, the clients you're trying to reach are not the right fit, or that marketing strategy doesn't work for you. If there are things you are doing that have no ROI, or the ROI is so small, right? You spend hours scouring job boards and you get 2 clients a month. This is where you get honest with yourself and say, okay, I've really made a solid effort with that marketing strategy. It hasn't worked. It's time for me to lean into what does work and figure out how I can get the most out of those strategies and build a system that's going to continue to support me. So let's talk about your revenue goals for 2022. You probably set these either intentionally or it's in the back of your mind. It may be a monthly number, it might be an annual number, but are you on track right now to hit that number. So for example, if let's say your goal is, I'm trying to think of something that would be simple. I guess it would be like, that would go work with the number 4. But like, if you wanted to hit 100K, you should be able to go look now, like mid-March, we're coming up on the end of Q1. Are you 25% of the way there right now, right? Are you going to be close to that when you close out March? If you're not close to it, which direction are you going to go to lean into fixing that? Did you set a goal that maybe was a little bit too much of a stretch, right? You don't want to say, okay, I'm making $2,000 months right now. My next goal is a 10K month. That is a massive stretch. Is it possible? Absolutely. But it puts all this pressure on you because what you have right now are the marketing systems and the client onboarding systems and the project management to get your work done to run your company at a $2,000 a month level. And so going to 10K is going to put a lot of stress on those systems that are not developed to run at 10K. And so it might be better to say, you know, my goal for April is $3,000. And then my goal for the month after that is $3,500 or $4,000 to scale yourself up so that you can adapt your business in real time if necessary. Now, there are people who do scale their business much faster. They do go to 10K months. They do scale to 6 figures very quickly. But part of the reason they do that is because they're really in touch with these revenue numbers and are coming back to it and going, okay, where am I at right now? It's the end of June. Am I halfway where I want to be? Because we also have swings in revenue, you can do this touching base activity to account for some of your busier months. I don't know about you all, but my busy months are usually February through May, and then September, October, and the first half of November. I know that those are always going to be some of my highest revenue months. So I take that into account when I'm looking at my income. If it's really slow in August, right? That's just how it is. That is always a dead zone at the summer when a lot of people take vacation and are mentally checked out before the school season starts back up and before we hit the holidays. So you can think about that as far as what goals do I need to adjust and adapt with that in mind. Don't overload yourself with goals. I tell this story frequently because it's tied to one of my coaching clients, but I've seen it so many times over and over that it's worth sharing. So she wasn't doing any marketing when we started working together. And I encouraged her to set one goal for the following week. What is the one thing you are going to do in the next week? And she came back to me and said, I'm going to look on 3 job boards. I'm going to spend 10 hours writing cold pitches. I'm going to send emails to all of my old clients and ask if they have new work. I'm going to write a post on LinkedIn saying that I have spots open. It was way too much. And guess how much of that she got done in the next week? None. Not even one single thing was done from that list because the intentions were there to get all that done, but it just wasn't realistic at all, right? Like just like how I was talking about going from 2K to 10K months, one month after the other is really hard. To stretch yourself and go from no marketing to I'm going to now do all of the things only sets you up for failure. So instead, don't overload yourself with goals. This is what I do every time I add something new in my business. I do not allow myself to add in any new goals until I have mastered that thing. So if I'm launching a podcast, that's all I can focus on until the podcast is launched, until we're in a rhythm, and until I'm consistent with it. Only then can I go back to the table and say, all right, that's part of my ongoing schedule. Now I have room for a new creative project. What does that look like? So don't overload yourself with goals. Now, I mentioned this at the outset, but I want to talk a little bit about some of these 10% marketing methods that help you reach your goals. These are the marketing methods that work for you or are most likely to work for you. They are the ones where you put in the least amount of time and effort, but bring the greatest results. Now, sometimes that statement doesn't sit well with freelancers who use things like cold pitching and say, I put in tons of effort with my cold pitching. I spend hours creating the perfect cold pitch. That's good information to know, but if we can systematize that and make it simple where you focus on only that method and doing a certain number of things every single week to get results with that, that is your 10% marketing method. We just need to figure out how to make it easier for you to do that. Are there pieces of it you can outsource? Can you batch the work to make it easier to get it done? So this is where you get substantially more results. Now that's different than the freelancer who spends 50 hours writing cold pitches to get 0 or 1 clients a month from it. That's just not, that isn't converting. So there's either something wrong with the pitch and the strategy of reaching people, or that method just doesn't work for you. And you'll find, like, even with freelancers who you might consider your direct competitors, different things work for different people. If you've legitimately tested something and it's not converting for you, it's okay to abandon it, right? Like, I literally deleted my Twitter because I was like, in 10 years, I have not had one paying coaching or freelance client from Twitter. It's just distracting me to, like, try to be on there and try to keep up with whatever algorithm changes they're going through. So even though I know other freelancers who do well with that method, it doesn't work for me. And I hear this a lot from people who are trying Upwork for the first time as well. It works really well for me and my business, but that doesn't mean it's going to work even for someone who provides a similar service to me. So if you are sending 50 cold pitches or spending tons of hours to get one response, it's probably not worth it. We either need to reevaluate what you're doing there, or you need to say, this marketing method just doesn't work for me. I give myself a pass because I made a solid effort to see if this worked for me. So we're looking for the things that do convert for you. If you get a lot of word of mouth referrals, that is your 10% marketing method. How can you lean into the clients who already love working with you to get more like them? Can you create a formal referral program? Can you send a message to everyone you worked with 6 to 12 months ago, letting them know you're available for more business, or the kinds of other companies you'd like to work with? For me, I consistently go back to Upwork and LinkedIn. They are the easiest ways. If I needed to generate freelance business today or tomorrow, that's going to be the least amount of my effort to get the most ROI. Now, if you are getting solid results, even if it's maybe a little slower, or the results haven't been coming in as much because you haven't been consistent, that still might be your 10% marketing method. So maybe you spend the time to send out 3 cold pitches on LinkedIn every single week, but you get 1 or 2 solid leads. Maybe they don't always convert into a client, but you're refining that process. People are responding to you, right? Which is key. So you're just tweaking things in your system to make sure that you can increase the conversions at that point. But you get responses, you get eyeballs on the pitches that you're sending. So that's a really good clue that going in a little more on your LinkedIn strategy could really help up-level your business. So another thing I want to talk about as we're helping you figure out what this looks like in the day-to-day for your business, is what most freelancers set in terms of goals. They'll say something super generic like, I know I need more clients. I'm not marketing enough. I'd like to have another client. Over and over again, conversations I have with freelancers, I hammer this home of, what does that new client look like? You need to be specific, and it helps you in a couple of ways. If you've ever noticed, like when you say something like, I need more clients, you may have a sense of desperation about that. And so you might bring in new clients, but they are not the new clients you want. It's the low paying clients. It's someone from your past who is really difficult to work with. It's not exactly what you had in mind, but you weren't intentional when you said, I want new clients. So a not so good example of setting client goals is, I need more clients. I need more business. I'd like to make more money. Super generic. You may get some things coming your way that technically meet what you put out there into the world of what you're looking for. A better version of that is, I want $1,500 more a month. That's a step in the right direction. The best client goals you can set are when you are as specific as possible, right? I would like 2 $750 a month email marketing clients who have flexible deadlines, preferably in the pet wellness industry. That is laser specific, and it helps you align your marketing directly to getting those kinds of clients. And it protects you, because when those red herring clients show up, like the ones who seem to pop up out of nowhere when you say, I need more clients, you can go, oh, this client who's asking me to rewrite their website about page, who was difficult to work with and is not in the pet industry and does not offer email marketing campaigns, they're not a fit for what I'm looking for right now. It really increases your awareness of what you are and are not willing to accept. So specificity wins, because you can build very strategic marketing to help get those 2 $750 a month clients. Your brain starts going, do I have packages at $750 a month? Do I have a good PDF on what those packages are? Where would those clients be? How would I reach them? Rather than just like, I need more clients, I guess I should hit up Upwork or ask my freelance friends if they have any leads for me. That's way less specific and doesn't result in good outcomes for you. So there's a couple elements of your quarterly marketing plan. Researching, and that can include things such as how long has it been since you updated your LinkedIn or your Upwork profile? When is the last time you revised your samples or your portfolio? How long has it been since you've revised your pitches? And it can also include things like doing actual research about the company. So that aspect of it is most relevant if you're doing cold pitching, because you're going to spend a lot of time researching the potential company. And you'll spend more of your research time if you're using like Upwork or a job board or referrals by really tweaking the tools that you have to outreach on those particular platforms. But the research is sort of the identifying and gathering phase where you're fine tuning all the material you're sending out. The outreach phase is actually connecting with the clients. How are you getting their attention? And then one that is often overlooked is follow-up and communication. Very rarely, if ever, will a client write back to your cold email and say, sure, send me a contract and an invoice. Let's get started working today. The winners are in the follow-up game. And I'm not talking about hitting reply all and going, hey, any update on this? That is not follow-up. Follow-up is strategic. Follow-up is aligned with the company. It is re-highlighting your value proposition. And so it can take time to do that. And you need to know that about your marketing as well. I have another coaching client who just does brilliantly well with very customized cold email pitches. They take her hours to put together. They result in amazing $2,000 a month retainer clients, but she knows up front that how many of them she needs to send out per month to fill how many spots. And she kind of reverse engineers her entire schedule to say, okay, I know it takes me like 5 hours to craft this custom pitch, to send it out, to do all the follow-up. It takes my clients an average of 5 weeks to get on board and sign the contract. And so she always knows what she can be doing this week to be getting business a week from now, 3 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now. So you need to build time into your schedule for all of these things. It is not just about sending out pitches and forgetting it. So I see a lot of people who do this really well. They'll say, my goal is to send out 3 pitches a week, or to spend 2 hours on Upwork, or to spend 1 hour connecting with my current clients and thanking them for their business per week. Then there's an additional time in their schedule that is built in for follow-up. So maybe you send all your pitches on Monday, and Wednesday and Thursday are your follow-up days. And that way you're doing like-minded activities together rather than the spray and pray approach of, well, let me just send out 50 pitches and see if anything lands. It's much better to have a smaller number where it is strategic and focused. So you need time for all of them. So I encourage you to think about what this question means for you and your schedule. How much time do you realistically have to dedicate each week only to marketing? So account for any current projects you have, the typical hours per week you spend on client things. How many hours do you realistically have that you can dedicate strictly to marketing? If you are fully booked, that number may be something like 1 or 2 hours. If you have no clients, it may be like 15 hours that you can dedicate to marketing. And so this number ebbs and flows based on how busy you are and how much you need to ramp up your business. I stepped down from a full-time role around this time last year. I'd been doing my freelance business on the side for about 1.5 years. And for 3 solid weeks during that transition, all I did was market. I had a handful of clients that I continued to work with while being in that full-time role, but I knew I had to ramp up quickly. And so my job at that point was 80% marketing, 20% actual client service, with the goal to flip that so that I spent less time marketing and was fully booked with retainer clients. But you have to be realistic. And if you, like I said before, if you're only doing a little bit per week, set a smaller goal. It's far better to say, I can commit to an hour a week. If you're doing 0 now, an hour a week is a big improvement. You can decide 4 weeks in, has that helped enough? Has that moved the needle? Do I feel like that's realistic for my schedule. But I've seen time and time again that it's better to start with a small goal rather than saying, I'm going to spend 25 hours sending 50 pitches next week, because you won't do it. Or you'll do 2 or 3, but you'll be like, I didn't do 50. And so then you just end up beating yourself up. So pick something small and consistent that you can stick with. And be intentional about it. Don't just say, I'm going to do it or I should do it. When are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? And you'll see in the worksheet that I gave you, there's some examples in there of, 9 a.m. Monday morning, I'm going to hop on LinkedIn and connect with 10 new people. Then you can put that in your calendar and really respect and honor that marketing time as far as what it looks like. And that all goes back to the goals that you set for your freelance business of where do you want it to be, by being intentional and saying, I want a $2,000 a month retainer client. I want a one-time $10,000 project. You can be specific and break that down into smaller action steps to get to that outcome by building it into your actual schedule. And slow and steady really does win the race here. So is it a half day that you dedicate once a week? Is it a full day? I know lots of freelancers who do marketing Mondays. They don't set themselves up to ever have deadlines on Mondays, and they get it over with first thing in the morning so that there are no excuses the rest of the week. They can always say, I wrote my blog, or I connected with 10 new people, or I scoured Upwork for new positions. So as we're looking into the coming quarter, we're coming up on Q2 here. Maybe you knocked it out of the park in Q1. And so you're scaling down your marketing efforts, but you're trying to get the most bang for your buck with the time you do put in. Or if Q1, you didn't do as well as you financially hoped, now it's time to set a couple of goals for the upcoming quarter with regard to your marketing. So make sure that they are specific, right? It is not, I'm going to be more active on LinkedIn. I will send more pitches. Go with numbers. I will spend an hour a week connecting with prospective clients on LinkedIn. I will do it at XYZ time every week. I'm going to build it into my calendar to do it. Be specific and intentional, because then you can hold yourself accountable of, did you do the thing? They should also be actionable. In our minds, we have all the best intentions of what we can achieve. But if it's not realistic, if it's, I'm going to send 50 pitches next week, or, next Wednesday, I'm going to carve out the whole day, even though I tend to get buried in emails midweek, like it's not going to happen, right? So make sure that it's really actionable. And again, smaller here is better. It's better to make a tiny bit of progress, but be consistent with it, rather than try to put all this pressure on yourself to perform in a really big way when it's unlikely for that to happen. And one small deviation from the marketing aspect of running your business, don't forget about time off that you want to take this year, right? So if you're setting a goal of 8K, 10K, 15K months for the rest of the year as a freelancer, don't forget that that means if you're going to take August off, where are you going to make up that money if you average it later on? Or are you okay with saying, I'm good with taking a loss in August. I'll save some of the money from some of the busier times. So don't forget to factor that in. Block it off in your calendar now. Lots of freelancers don't take enough time off. We don't take sick days. We don't take vacation unless our spouses or family members are encouraging us, hey, take vacation. I have time off work. You need to take some time off too. But block it off now, right? I always look at August as a time when it's great for me to take some time off. Sometimes I will even say, you know what, the last 2 weeks of December, they're always a wash. I'm just going to go ahead and block my calendar now and say, my office is closed those 2 weeks. It kind of gives you something to look forward to. And it also helps you remember when you're looking at those numbers that those numbers matter too. How much downtime did you take? How many hours a week did you work? How did you feel as you were working on these projects? So you might need to reevaluate your marketing goals. Is the number that you have set as your marketing goals for bringing in new clients, is that necessary? It may be based on necessity. You might be like, yeah, I need $6,000 a month to pay my expenses and to pay myself. That's a great starting place. But I find other times freelancers get tempted to grow their business to a really big level without necessarily needing to. And it can sometimes come at the expense of your sanity or your work-life balance. So all those factors kind of come into the picture when you're thinking about it. And as you're working through coming up with what this looks like on a day-to-day basis for marketing, you may need to adjust some of your expenses. So the expense of time is one that you will have to put in to market your business. That one is free. Newer freelancers have far more of it than experienced freelancers do, but every freelancer needs to earmark some time. But you might realize in setting up your marketing plan that you need access to something to make this marketing plan a reality. It could be paying for LinkedIn Premium. It might be signing up for a site like FlexJobs. It may be getting a coaching call with a freelance coach to evaluate your pitch and your work samples to give you some feedback. It may be something like that, and you want to account for that in your budget. A lot of freelancers don't have many expenses, and that's okay. So if you don't need one, don't use it. But you might say, I've realized in doing this exercise and going through the worksheet that LinkedIn is where I need to connect with people. So I need to earmark 3 months of LinkedIn Premium. And here's how I'm going to get the most out of using LinkedIn Premium for those couple of months. So I am going to quickly switch sharing to the worksheet, just so that we can kind of go through it and kind of kind of talk about some of these things as well. So when you copied this for yourself, just type your answers in on the right side, or you can print it and write those in. I always like to look back at where I have come from, because we can also easily forget how hard we've worked on the goals that we have had. So look back at your 2021 revenue and think about that. How much time did I take off in 2021? What were my revenue goals? Did I come close to them? This is the area where you'll also be realistic about what is converting well, what things are really giving you great results in your freelance business, because sometimes we don't see what's right in front of us. We don't see, wow, so many of my clients came from a one-on-one referral from someone else. I didn't realize that word of mouth was my strongest thing. How can I capitalize on word of mouth? Can I set up a Google My Business profile and ask my 3 favorite clients to leave me a review? Can I ask people to leave me a testimonial on LinkedIn? Can I tell them they'll get a $200 credit on their next invoice for referring someone directly to me? So there's always action steps that can be aligned with what works well for you. And don't forget that piece of like, what is my biggest challenge? Maybe it's that you're not implementing it. You're just not doing it. Maybe it's that you feel like you're spending tons of time doing it and you're not getting that ROI. And I put examples throughout here. That doesn't mean that it's what it has to look like for you, but just to help you work through it as you're going through this worksheet on your own, of some examples of what it might look like for different freelancers. And then when it comes to setting that goal, right? What's one way I can improve my marketing schedule for Q2 2022? What is one thing that I can do difference between today and tomorrow, or today and next week, that's going to make a big difference? So here's a couple of different marketing goals. I share these because I love these. So maybe you determined that Upwork is your highest converting place of getting new freelance business. Okay, so your goal is to send 5 pitches a week on Upwork. What does that really look like? How does that break down into your schedule? Are you going to scan the job board for 20 minutes a day? Great, let's go in and build that into your actual schedule and treat it with the respect that it deserves, that you're going to do that every single day. That small action, you're just going to do a quick scan. It might look different or have a different time commitment if it's things like sending cold pitches, or maybe you use thought leadership on your website or your LinkedIn to draw in new clients. But you can see these are really specific. So what does it take to post a blog on a website? Okay, it's going to take me at least 6 hours per month to be consistent with that. I need to sit down and maybe decide my first 10 blog post titles. And then how does that fit into my schedule? I'm going to write my posts every Wednesday morning, and I'm going to put that on my schedule. So I encourage you to build that into your own version of the worksheet, as far as how does this change your marketing plan right now? And breaking it down into doing things 90 days or weekly or day by day is so much more effective, because if we don't have something intentional, it's so much harder to actually do it. You don't want to put like a huge, like, market more on your to-do list. You won't do that, right? That doesn't mean anything. 20 minutes scanning Upwork every day, I can put that on my to-do list. Did I do it? Did I bid on any jobs that were interesting to me? Great. I did or I didn't. I just move on to the next activity and the next thing that I'm working on, and I'll come back again tomorrow to do the same thing. So for a lot of people, when they think of building a quarterly marketing plan, they want it to be huge. They're like, these are the 15 points of my marketing plan that I'm going to implement all quarter long. Just pick 2 to 3 goals that you can be specific with over the course of this quarter. Some of them may be regular activities like sending out new pitches or doing your follow-ups. Others may be bigger projects, like maybe you need to update your portfolio. So maybe that doesn't take you the whole quarter. Maybe that only takes a month, but you break that down into action steps of, step 1, look at my current portfolio and make notes about what's old. Step 2, delete things I no longer want. Step 3, upload new ones. Step 4, announce to my network that my portfolio is updated. So that can often throw people off too, that it needs to last an entire quarter. Sometimes the things we need to do not last an entire quarter and are things that we can do relatively simply, but it would feel really good to have completed and would put you on the right path towards accomplishing your marketing goals. So I'm going to pause there and see if anybody has any questions. You're free to drop them in the chat box, and I'm happy to talk more about marketing.
I just have a quick question, Laura. I was wondering, so when you spoke about ROI and kind of seeing which platforms work best for you. So let's say I am testing different platforms like LinkedIn, email marketing, Twitter, etc. How long should I use these platforms for to assess if it's getting me leads? Like, what is kind of like the golden timeline?
Yeah, I would say 2 months to 3 months is of consistent effort before writing something off. And again, it doesn't mean like you need to go all in on pitching on LinkedIn or whatever the thing might be, full time for that 2 to 3 month period. But just like we've set goals here in the quarterly marketing plan, maybe that's one of, maybe 2 of your 3 goals are related to marketing methods that you already know work. And maybe your 3rd goal is, I want to try something new. What does that look like? What does that look like on a weekly basis? And then set some sort of a number of, I'm going to send a pitch 30 times. I'm going to sign up for this paid job board and I'm going to read it consistently for 3 months. And if I don't get any quality leads, I'm going to put that reminder on my calendar to cancel. So I would say a couple of months, because freelancing is getting more competitive. And so a lot of times new things that we try, there's always a learning curve to it. There's always people who are ahead of that curve than where we're at. And so there's things we have to figure out about how to make it work, how much time to put in. So I would just set some general goals for a couple of months and then track it, right? Don't be like, this comes up a lot too when I talk to freelancers. They'll be like, well, I've been trying, this particular method. And my next question is always, what does that look like? What do you mean you've been trying it? You sent 1 pitch a week? Because we can't really write that off if the effort was so small that we don't even have enough numbers to say whether it worked or not. But if you're saying, I have sent 75 pitches on Upwork and I have gotten $100 project, there's either something wrong with the pitch or it's just not a viable marketing method for you. So that's why setting these goals is so important. It helps you figure out what does this look like in my schedule. It also gives you the permission at the end before Q3 to come back and go, you know what? I really tried that. And maybe that method that worked for me before doesn't anymore, or that new one that I tried doesn't. And you can say, I really put in a good faith effort here. I gave it the good college try and it just didn't convert. And that way you're not basing your decision on an anecdote or a feeling that something didn't work. You can say, yeah, I spent an hour a day networking in Facebook groups and I did not get 1 client. I'm good with saying like, I'm leaving all the Facebook groups because that's just it's not being productive to my business.
Okay, that definitely makes sense. And I also was wondering, so how should I project growth reasonably? So let's say if I had like $100 in revenue last year, and following along with your Google Doc, how should I go about projecting how much I could make this year? Like not, I guess, like super complicated, but like don't worry of that.
Yeah. So usually there is a stretch goal in your mind of the next thing that you want to achieve. Most freelancers do it monthly. So maybe if you're making $1,000 a month now, your next goal is 2,000 or 3,000, and that's doable. You're going to have to say, what can I do to achieve that? The next question I often get after this one is, how do I know when to up that goal? My advice for freelancers is, when you have hit that goal for 2 to 3 months consistently, not every other month, and some months you have $0 income or whatever. When you've hit it consistently, that's when you can go, okay, I've adapted my business to run at the level of making $3,000 a month. I want to set my sights on 5K now. And so maybe you can even plot that out for the rest of the year of like, okay, April, May, and June, I'm aiming for $3,000, and I'll come back and adjust if need be. But maybe in July and August, I'm aiming for 4,000, and maybe in September that goes up to 5,000. So that way you can kind of see, like, if you were to hit that, what would it look like at the end of the year? But it's a nice balance between setting goals that are so big they just stress you out, and but between actually pushing yourself, right? Because if I say I'm making $1,000 a month now, and I go, my next goal is 1,200, right? It's not very motivating, because it's like, 200 extra dollars. I don't really care if I hit it or not, right? So you want something that scares you a little bit, but not like a full induced panic of, oh my gosh, $10,000. No way can I bring that into my business. So you want something that's that little bit of a push, because our brains are wired to receive actual data. And so if we can prove to our brain, hey, I've had $3,000 months for 3 months in a row, it's time to up the goal. Like I've obviously got this under control. And so it makes it a little easier to set that next stretch goal.
Okay, that definitely makes sense. And I also was wondering, do you continue to market normally if your book is currently full? I heard you say that, if you have a lot of clients and maybe you only have like 1 to 2 hours a week to market, / if you have 0 clients and maybe 15 hours. But what if your book is already full? Should you continue to market?
I do continue to market, but at a very dialed down level, and the activities may look different. And so one of my marketing methods, right, is LinkedIn, right? I have a big following on LinkedIn. I have a lot of clients who find me through there. So even if I'm fully booked, I may only post one piece of content on LinkedIn a month or a week, or I might only connect with 10 new people on LinkedIn a week. I'm not actively pitching them or telling someone like, hey, hire me, I have an opening for this month, but I'm keeping that pipeline warm, because what if one of my current clients cancels, or I end up in a project I realize I don't like? It gives me the permission to say, okay, at least I didn't do nothing, right? I have some things. And I still do things like, I look at Upwork, I look at job boards. I'm on a couple of email lists that deliver freelance writing gigs to my inbox. I scan those when I'm fully booked, because occasionally I have found stuff where I'm like, that is my dream freelance gig right there. I'm going to apply for it, and I'll figure out how to make it work. Even if I'm fully booked, I'll get rid of a project, or I'll streamline a project or something like that. So I do always market, much more heavy on the pitching and the actual communication with client sides when I have a real opening. But there's lots of other things you can do. Update your website, your portfolio, get new headshots done. Like I need to put a video on my Upwork profile, right? That's like a 10-minute task I can do, even though I'm fully booked. So you can cross some of those things off your list as you're going to, even if you're fully booked with current projects.
Okay, that makes sense. And I have one last question. So speaking of, I guess, like portfolios and LinkedIn, how often should one revise them?
At least once or twice a year. The reason for this is because some of our work gets stale. Sometimes you get better at your skills, and like, you were proud of the thing when you put it up there, but then you look at it a year later and you're like, oh, how did I even get hired? That logo is hideous, or that writing sample is not good. So I would say I like to do it kind of like January and July. I just take a look. I put that recurring task on my project management tool. Check your profile. I'll have someone on my team like grab any new links of things that have been published with my byline that we can slot in there and update it. But keep your profile fresh, show a variety of skills. That's another thing too. If you're fully booked right now, but like, I keep getting clients coming to me asking if I do like software as a service copywriting. I have no samples for that. So I'll throw that on my list of when I'm fully booked, here's an activity I can do that may not lead to business now, but it's like, I need to create some SaaS samples so that I can put that on my portfolio in the future, if that's a direction I want to go. So you can do all kinds of little tasks like that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that definitely helps. Okay, I think that is it for my questions. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to drop it into the chat or just chime in. If no one has any questions, I think that is it for today. And you can download our app at www.noumena.pro. And on the app, we actually added a new addition to our finances tab. So it's a CFO at your service, and a seasoned professional will help you with your business needs, decisions, and different growth strategies. So thank you, Laura. You are always awesome. And this was so informative. Thank you so much. And hope everyone has a great day.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks.